He claims to be a good man. He glances into the camera, half smiling, half defensive, as if the words can erase all that has been spoken before them. Kody Brown, the one who once declared himself a father of faith, a husband of many hearts, and the patriarch of a family founded on unity, now expects us to believe he's just misunderstood. But what is good when the path you leave in your wake is one of shattered promises and kids learning how to live without peace? Because being a good man is not merely about what you say when there are microphones in front of you. It's about what you do when there are no witnesses. The clip you heard just now, that gentle voice, that argument of goodness, it wasn't from the past. It was shot recently, at the very point when the net was buzzing with tales of court orders, custody documents, and that enigmatic child support fight that nobody wants to talk about. And there he was, calm and confident, declaring himself good. Hi, besties. Welcome back to the confusing world of sister wives, where reality television blurs with real life, and where truth sometimes hides behind the lens. Today we're not talking about rumors. We're not here for cheap gossip. We're here to line up timelines, words, and actions, and let them speak for themselves. Because when Kody referred to himself as a good man, Christine was experiencing a very different edition of that narrative. She was carrying the burden of court documents, the fatigue of production, and the duty of being the parent who remained consistent when cameras did not roll. Meanwhile, David Woolley, her current husband, was standing silently on the sidelines, observing the very same show we were. Only his front row seat included knowledge of what had truly been going on behind the scenes. And that's where our book starts, in the divide between image and reality. The network has Kody packing boxes, reminiscing about heartbreak, possibly even crying. But notice well the dates, the sale of that house in Arizona, the filings in Utah, the month of November of 2024, when suddenly everything ceased to be about feelings and began to be about dollars and cents. While one camera captured tears, another courtroom captured signatures. Now ask me, can a man consider himself good when every step is perfectly aligned with financial requirements and not fatherhood instincts? That's the question we'll follow through this tale, from when Kody sold that house to the day Christine quietly moved on, from his TV grief to the legal paper trail he assumed no one would trace. And before we conclude, you'll notice how each good man's speech ties back to something he wanted to preserve, not his family, but his reputation. So settle in. We've got timelines to uncover, receipts to match, and motives to decode. Let's talk about what good really looks like when the cameras stop and the truth begins. You see, when someone calls themselves a good man over and over, it's usually because they're trying to convince someone, not you, not the audience, but themselves. And Kody Brown, he's been doing it for years. Whenever he sits down in that confession booth, he doesn't merely recount a story. He acts out a performance of himself that he'd like the world to remember. Hi besties, welcome back. Today we're stripping away the layers of Kody's good man persona, layer by layer, until we get to what's actually underneath. Because here's the thing, what's revealed on TV and what's going down in the real world don't align. Not even close. Let's begin with the timeline. Kody's house, that infamous hash knife place, finally sold in November of 2024. A fresh start, a clean break, right? Wrong. The same month, Utah court records indicate Kody was served with a child support case. Now the case has been sealed, so we can't know the particulars. But the timing speaks volumes. Ammon, who says he's good, doesn't tend to end up in court for backing his own kid. And while Kody was in front of the camera, prattling on about heartbreak and betrayal, Christine was handling legal documents, custody arrangements, and all the emotional labor that comes with raising a daughter amidst public tumult. You remember truly, don't you? The little girl who was forced to mature sooner than she ought to have because her parents' suffering became national entertainment. When Kody boasts about being a good man, I want you to consider the following. A good man does not require court orders to jog his memory about responsibility. A good man does not address a child and say, "I don't want to see her. I don't want to hear her name." A good man does not negotiate every apology. And that is precisely what we have here. This is where the mask begins to slip. Kody comes across as serene, misunderstood, emotional, but take a closer look. Whenever his image gets bruised, the story shifts. One day he is the victim. The next he's the wise patriarch. The next day he's the man betrayed by everyone else. It's not growth, it's performance. And I believe that's what Christine ultimately learned. You can't heal someone who's constantly rewriting the script in order to guard themselves. Christine's quiet during the time of the breakup wasn't weakness. It was survival, and the first time she spoke, even jokingly, even through a grin, it wasn't revenge. It was taking back her own half of the story. But here's where things get even more interesting. Remember that clip? Christine saying, "He's a good man, you'll have fun with him?" A lot of people thought she was being sincere. But look deeper. The tone, the timing, the fact that she said it while still under a non-disparagement clause. She legally couldn't say what she really felt, so she smiled instead. She referred to him as good, and the ones who got it, got it. That's the beauty of it, the subtle defiance. The words convey one thing, but the tone, the eyes, the timing, something else. And Kody, he took that clip as proof that he'd won the narrative again. But what he didn't see was that Christine had just played the same game he invented, and she played it better. Because when a man hides behind the phrase, "I'm a good man," the strongest response isn't shouting back. It's letting the truth show him he's not. Now let's get this all together, because besties' timelines don't lie. Feelings can be manipulated, memories can be edited, but dates? Dates speak the truth. November 4th, 2024. That's when Kody's home officially closed. It wasn't just a random real estate deal. It was an economic move before a legal loan. In short time, Christine filed for child support in Utah. And here's the punch. That case died down within weeks. Sealed, disappeared, like it never happened. But those close to the situation claim it wasn't quiet on the inside. That the tension was palpable. Money, responsibility, public face, all colliding with each other. And yet, as this was going on in real life, the series was painting a different picture. Cameras for TLC were rolling, capturing Kody the introspective father, Kody the hurt man. You can almost imagine the background music. Piano played slow, soft fade, a couple of tears. But stop for a moment and align the shoot dates with real-life events. Something doesn't quite match. Because while that emotional moment was being captured on camera, Kody wasn't thinking, he was acting. Acting under legal duress, acting under loss of control, acting under a world where Christine no longer had to ask his permission to exist, to speak, to find her own peace. Which is what makes that good man Lenny so effective, and so empty. He doesn't utter it because he is good. He says it because he wishes he still had the upper hand. Let's be realistic here. Nobody's perfect. Divorce is bad for people, but this wasn't a breakup. This was a man watching his system break down, financially, emotionally, and publicly. For years, Kody constructed his universe in terms of control. Control of the narrative, control of the finances, control of the way each wife appeared on television. When that fell apart, he didn't lose a wife, he lost himself. Christine, however, did something Kody never anticipated. She quit pretending. For so long, she had been the supportive wife, the smiling face alongside his anger, the one who smoothed things over after each public argument. But when she departed, she didn't just leave the marriage, she left the script. And Kody couldn't deal with that. That's why every "I'm a good man" feels more like a plea than a statement. Because when people truly change, they don't announce it. They live it. And Kody's actions, from the house sale to the court filings, show a man more interested in appearing good than being good. Now, remember what Christine said to David, "He's a good man, you'll have fun with him." That wasn't kindness. That was strategic. A woman who knows the system she got out of doesn't battle it head on. She smiles and allows the truth to come out naturally. That's power. Quiet, sharp, and patient. And this is what's even more revealing. Every time Christine gracefully moves on, Kody somehow brings her name back into his sphere. It's like he needs her to stay in the story to prove he still matters. But the truth? The real story? It's that Christine doesn't need to prove anything anymore. She doesn't need to explain, defend, or justify her choices. Because when you've lived through manipulation long enough, peace itself becomes your loudest statement. So when Kody says, "I'm a good man," and Christine just smiles, that's not agreement. That's freedom. And maybe that's the strangest thing about all of this, besties. How Kody keeps trying to convince the world that he's the hero of a story that's already moved on without him. He stands there repeating his lines, "I'm a good man," as if saying it enough times could make it true. But the world isn't buying it anymore. Not Christine, not David, not the children who learned that sometimes silence can speak louder than shouting ever will. Christine did find peace, but peace does not erase the scars. It merely shows you how to stop bleeding from them. David did find balance, but he's still facing a man who cannot stop staring at himself. And Kody? He's still standing in the same spot, grasping a word that has lost all meaning. Good. Because good doesn't conceal documents. Good doesn't manipulate timelines. And good doesn't forget the faces of the people you took an oath to protect. But there's the catch. This story isn't over yet. The cameras are still in motion. The contracts are still in play. And somewhere in between the court orders, the confessionals, and the cutscenes, there's another chapter in the works. Will Kody finally speak truth? Will Christine reveal what she's been keeping under wraps for months? Or will the next installment rewrite everything we believed about it all again? Because what lies behind every "I'm a good man" is a fresh secret, and this time, it may not be buried. Tune in, besties. The story isn't finished. It's just about to get louder,